When? And we're the pie guys.
First we gotta put on, wash our hands and put on the aprons.
Take this cold butter, cut it into cubes, and put it in the freezer.
Now we're gonna add the dry ingredients in. A cup and a quarter of flour, half a teaspoon of salt, and a teaspoon and a half of sugar. Might spill a little inside. Cover. That's your close. And then put your hand on the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Now we put half the butter in and pulse it until it's the size of a pea. Then you do the same with the other half.
Now we're gonna add 3 to 4 tablespoons of water. You know it's right when you can pinch it and it stays together.
You want that water to be as cold as possible, so we have it in a thing here with some ice.
Yeah. Take off the cap, and now we pinch it to see if it's right. I think it's good, and I think maybe a little more.
You're right, a little bit more. Let's do 1 more tablespoon.
I think it's good now.
There we go.
Now we're making the gluten-free one. For the dry ingredients, we need 1/2 a cup and 2/3 of King Arthur gluten-free measure for measure flour. So put that in there, and then we need 1/4 of a teaspoon of xanthan gum in there, and then now we need 1/2 a teaspoon of salt and 1.5 of salt.
Sugar.
Sugar. Now we pulse it.
same thing with the butter as we did as before. Done.
Now we're gonna add some liquid weird stuff. To make this liquid for the crust, you need 2.5 tablespoons of ice water, 1.5 teaspoons of rice vinegar, and 1.5 tablespoons of sour cream whisked together. Now we added in
Half of it.
half of it.
Okay, well,
And then
now put the top on.
it was supposed to be half of it. And now it's supposed to be half of it, not all of it. We whisk it ourselves.
Let's do one more pulse. Good. Now the pinch test.
Pitch. I think it's good.
I think it's good too.
Yep, good.
Okay, now we have a couple of sheets of plastic wrap laid out here, and we're going to dump our mixture that looks very loose, as you can see, onto here and form it into a disc to put it into the fridge for a little while. Doesn't look at all like pie crust, does it? So now I'm going to form it into a disc and press it together. Pressing it together is called frissage, and is what causes the butter to spread out into thin layers, which makes for a nice flaky crust. Take it and press. Look at that. Can you see the little pieces of butter that are in there? That's what's going to help our crust be nice and flaky. So we wrap this up, throw it in the fridge, and let the flour all hydrate for at least a half an hour. Okay, we took our pie crust out of the fridge and unwrapped it. I took it out about 15 minutes ago so that it's not ice cold. And I have a generously floured work surface here and a floured rolling pin. I'm just going to roll it out as circular as I can, but we like to roll it a little bit bigger than we need it because we eat the extra crust.
Just once, you can talk as much as you want.
Okay, so now we're going to roll this up and we're going to get it into our pie pan. The easiest way to do that is just roll it onto your rolling pin, and then lay it over the top and roll it in. Press it down and in. And it goes. Okay, so now we're going to trim the edges with my kitchen shears here. Don't throw this away. If it were just me making the pie, I would form this into one that would go into a tart pan for a smaller pie. But when the pie guys are together, we bake these as snacks. Okay, now I fold this over underneath. Okay, and then I flute it. Admittedly, I'm not very good at this part. Now this is going to go into the fridge because the whole key to an all butter pie crust is for it to be as cold as possible when it goes into the oven. So the butter immediately vaporizes and forms layers in your crust.
First, we have to preheat the oven at 375 degrees Fahrenheit. Now we begin the butter pie. The first step is 2/3 of a cup of sugar. Next, half a stick of butter. And finally, a heaping tablespoon of flour. Next, you cream it all together. I'm now halfway done with creaming the butter. This is about what it should look like. This is what it should look like after you're done creaming the butter.
Now we're gonna do the liquids for the butter pie. First, you beat the egg. Go this way. You beat the egg. Now we add 1 cup of milk. Now we do 1 teaspoon of vanilla.
Over the bowl. Keep going, fill it.
A little bit more. Stir. It should look like this when you're done. So now for the butter pie, we get the liquid and the chunks of butter and get it in there and mix it together. And try not to fling it everywhere. And then we try to get all the chunks out. So now, once we mix it a little bit, we put it into the pie. Slowly. And I just dump it at the end. And now we try to spread the chunks out evenly so you can't see it before it goes into the oven.
The butter pie goes into a 375 degree preheated oven for about 40 to 45 minutes.
For the pecan pie, we want to cut up 2 cups of pecans and leave some full ones for the top to make it look nice. Next, we make the filling for the pecan pie. First of all, beat 3 eggs.
So now But first we have 1 tablespoon of molasses, which we can add in there. You use this to scrape it out. Now you put this back down. And now you have one cup of corn syrup, which we can add in. Now we have half a cup of brown sugar. Now we have 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. You need a second pan today.
Over the bowl.
Now we add 4 tablespoons of butter and mix. So add that in. That all in. Get a spoon and mix it.
Now we'll assemble the pecan pie. First, put the crunched up pecans at the bottom of the pie and evenly spread them out. Next, dump the liquid filling into the pie. Scrape the extra stuff out if you need to.
Alright, now we're going to take the reserved whole pecans and we're going to decorate the top. So we just have to make sure that when we put them down, we lay them out in the pattern that we want. Then we have to poke them underneath so that they get covered with the filling so that they don't burn, and instead they candy. So I'll lay them all out first. This step is optional. Now I'm just gonna poke them underneath and let them float back up. They will float as the pie bakes. Now we're going to place it into our preheated 375-degree oven. This is 25 degrees hotter than the recipe that I use calls for, but that's because 375 is the ideal temperature for an all butter crust to flake properly. It will go in for 30 minutes, after which we will place tin foil tented over the top of it and allow it to bake for an additional 30 minutes. Alright, so with the scraps, what we like to do is we like to melt a little bit of butter and just brush it on with a pastry brush here, which takes a second. We just take some cinnamon sugar, sprinkle it on top. Doesn't need a lot because the crust is so buttery to begin with. Doesn't need a whole lot of extra flavor. And once that's done, it's just going to go into the oven right with the rest of the pies for 15 minutes or so, and then check it.
These are the leftover pie crust that we baked. We love this part.
Here's how the pie came out. This is the butter pie.
And this is the pecan pie.
Thanks for watching.
I hope you enjoyed our video.
Happy pie making.
Cut.